Hey guys, this is KillerRob speaking, and in today's episode of Great Engineer, Terrible Driver, we are going to design a 1985 Le Mans style hypercar in automation and hot lap it in BeamNG.drive on the automation test track. What driver score will I achieve today? We shall find out. And you guys all know which body we are talking about. Yes, this one. One of the first modder bodies that was added as vanilla content actually to automation way back in the time where we didn't have more or less any proper sports cars. Yep, this is pretty awesome. So what is the goal today? What do I mean with Le Mans style hypercar? Well, Le Mans style is just the body shape, and with hypercar I mean that with this one we do want to break 300 kilometers an hour as the first ones in the car industry, so to say. So yeah, what do we take here? Well, it is a hypercar. There will probably not be many made of this. So where do we start? Should we go fiberglass or full alloy? I think we're going full aluminium. Monocoque chassis, and yeah, well, carbon fiber isn't available here, so we're going with corrosion-resistant steel. Try to make it last. Yes, we shall. Mid-longitudinal, I think, is the correct one for this. It might also be mid-transverse, but we shall try this out first, mid-longitudinal. This is always a bit of a kerfuffle here with getting the right engine orientation, especially for mid and rear engine configurations. But yeah, anyway, so suspension front doesn't really matter too much, apart from solid axle coil, yes. It will be the hyper off-roader. So double wishbone, and then we need to check out if we are going with mid-longitudinal, then it would be double wishbone. If we need more space and we have to place it transverse, then we would go with McPherson struts because they take less space. As you can see here, is it that clear? Yeah, I think it is. So you see them sticking in here. That steals you a bit of space, which these don't. Engine! Okay, the heart of the car. What do we have here? Do we want to put an inline three in there? Or maybe 4 of them? The question really is, do we want to go with a V12? Or do we want to go with a V16? Let's see what fits. Yeah, well, that is a little long. That is a little long. When do we... Oh! There. Okay, now that's not enough capacity we can reach with this. This is just not enough capacity. So it is too long. Oh, what a surprise! A V16 being too long. When has that ever happened? Let's see how far we get with a V12 though. This is looking a lot better. Oh, also caps out at... Yeah, we could make a 5-liter engine, I guess. 5 liters of mayhem. It's not much, but if it's very highly tuned, we should be able to push adequate amounts of power to achieve our goals. And, very importantly, I mean, this is 1985 right now, and there are not many traction aids and electronic gimmicks to keep you on the road. So, I think we need to make this somewhat drivable. And not just drivable by means of computer technology. We do have a lot of width left though, so we might be able to cram in some turbos, some mild-ish turbos. Well, let's see what it does with naturally aspirated first. I think I'm going with a pretty high cam, a pretty high, almost race cam, 88. It's like this range 85 to 93 seems to be optimal for the most extreme cars. At least that is what I've found so far, because otherwise you just lose bottom end while not really gaining much up there. So yeah, naturally aspirated first, and we do go with multi-point. That is one of the technologies that actually allows you to do this stuff. because before with carbs and mechanical fuel injection, that is real tricky to produce those power numbers, of course, and do so reliably. We are going with performance intake, and I think running it on 95 is reasonable if we want to sell it in Gazmir and some other places. 12.5 because it's multi-point. It kind of gets into no, I don't really want to mode when you go lower than 12.5. And for the ignition timing, something like 80. Because this is a hypercar, we are of course going with the custom-built race tubular headers. They add quite a bit of power, and if you're not mass-producing the car anyway, then it doesn't really matter. At this point you would need a catalytic converter though for properly driving it on the road. So we go with one single straight-through muffler. And this is looking pretty good. 523 horsepower. Maybe a little on the low side. But this thing hasn't been tuned yet, so let's see what we can get out of it. What is critical here is keeping the engineering time within limits. The production units are not too much of an issue because they're hand-built anyway, so that's fine. So now we're at 567 horsepower. I think that might be enough for a 300 km/h race car. Oh, well, not race car, but like road car that is very close to being a race car. Especially in 1985, this would be scary as fuck. Alright, let's build with this first, and then see if we need to add a little bit of oomph to actually get there with some turbo tech, because that is scary. Probably you would want to have some turbo tech there anyway, just because you want to gain extra prestige, because it's still pretty early for turbos and the 80s are turbo time, and it makes sense to add some turbo tech here, especially with the new fuel injection. Dark red race car, yes. Let's go with this for now, and we'll design it later, as always. Longitudinal all-wheel drive. I think this car would be rear-wheel drive, though. Yeah, let's go with rear-wheel drive first and see how much wheel spin we need to tame. And, of course, manual, 5-gear. Estimated top speed, 324.6, and if we go with all-wheel drive, 318. Okay. I think what we might want to do is let first gear go to 100. That will get rid of a lot of wheel spin. And geared limited slip diff, yeah, appropriate for a car like this. Oh, now the tires. I think this one should come with semi-slicks, because it is so extreme. And the wheel size is awesome, though. I think we should go with these tires. Yes. Awesome. Alright, we are starting out with two 25s in the front and two 95s in the rear. I also forgot to morph the car, so I just did. I think this is looking pretty good. A little weird down here. The heck being too long. Okay, like this. Yep. For the rims, magnesium, because they are even more lightweight. Brakes are tricky. Well, it is mid-engine, so it's not as tricky as for others, but still. Probably want to go with something like 300s, even distribution. Slightly less in the rear, but still same size. That's a good starting point, I believe. And for the pad type, maybe a 70 to 75. Oh yes, fully clad under tray to get all the speed out of it. After all, it is supposed to get those top speed ratings. Cooling airflow we leave at 50 because we do want to cool the engine adequately for racing conditions, but we do not need to make sure that it's absolutely perfect if you drive it in the desert. Although those guys in Delua, they will be very fond of it being higher, but that's not implemented yet. Maybe at some point. A single seater. Would it be single seater? No, it wouldn't. That would be a pure track car. Hypercar wants 2 seats at least. After all, you need to make room for your trophy wife if you have this one, right? So, yep. Here we go with... well, it is a hypercar, but it's supposed to be like a monster. And this is heavy. Although, no, not so much. 68. I expected worse. Maybe the Sport, though? Well, this one should be handmade. Yeah, and then we can skimp out a little bit on the actual entertainment package. Because this is heavy. Ugh. 53 kilograms. Variable hydraulic. ABS. Yay, we have ABS. No traction control. Oh, this is scary. So much power and no traction control. But fortunately, the safety packages don't add much weight. I think standard 80s should be fine. And we only have standard springs. Gas mono, okay. Hydro pneumatic is not something we want to go with. So this is looking good already for a first pass. 200 score almost in Hyper. That's pretty spot on, I would say. The suspension could be a bit stiffer. I think I'm aiming towards something like 1.9 hertz. So that would mean 1.7 in the front, maybe a little higher. 7.3 sounds good. Damping. Front damping, maybe aiming for 0.5 overall. Yeah, this is looking beautiful. Just look at this curve. Perfect. And this thing will handle really well. Now for the sway bars. We are having basically no roll, so that's good. But that may be because we are riding around on bump stops. Let's see how much that increased. Oh yes, yes it is. This looks very high. This is this body, it's a little weird. Yeah, 22 centimeters of ride height. Well, not so much. I don't know where it's measured. This looks a bit wrong then. So we still have a suspension travel of 58 millimeters. That is enough for a race car. Alright, a bit of tuning, and this is looking good. Do we need less camber in the rear? No, then it tries to escape upwards into orbit, or into the tires. Rear first. Yeah, this car is fast. This car is really fast. 327, supposedly the top speed. But a good thing is that our wheel spin is very controlled. What isn't so good is that our 0 to 100 time is rather abysmal. So maybe we should try to aim for all-wheel drive. Just make it faster. Oh wow, that really lowers the top speed. There's so many losses in there. So if we hold the car and just compare, let's put all-wheel drive on. What is our weight distribution? Test track weight distribution is... Oh, that isn't too bad. 56, okay. So that means if we put this on 56, it might not be optimal for the actual acceleration, but that would be optimal drivability. Maybe just keep it like this. That's a good compromise. But you see, we are losing a lot of... oh, that's because of the steering. Yeah. We could go much more aggressive with this now. So let's do that. Wider tires front. There we have them. And one more. Ah, okay. I need to retune. More grip rear or less front. So something like this. Yep, there it comes down. And we can go even larger wheels. And now we're getting close. And now that we have so much more grip because of the all-wheel drive, we can lower the spacing a lot. Make second gear go to like 120 or something. But that really upsets the spacing. We don't have enough gears for that. Look at how terrible this looks. That's not really an option, is it? It is definitely on the limit to being feasible. So this is our comparison here. So engineering time is fine. It's not too bad to make it all-wheel drive. But we're losing a bit of sportiness. We're gaining a fair bit of drivability. We're losing top speed, obviously. We are having a lot more weight in this. And acceleration is still terrible because, well, shifting. It would have to be first gear to 100 to make that work, yes. That brings sportiness up a bit again. But still, 4.8 seconds. That is slow. So I think we're actually going with a rear-wheel drive. Yeah, it is a little quicker. Quicker in top speed and quicker to engineer. Also, it is more pure. And we are actually faster because we get more power on the wheels. Oh, the braking setup was guessed correctly by myself. I haven't tuned anything in this yet. This looks pretty much spot on. Could lower them slightly. Oh no, now we get sportiness brake fade. That's not something we want. Yeah, that needs to be eliminated, so 70 it is. But considering that this thing is supposed to be breaking speed records for production cars, let's give it a bit more aerodynamics quality. Oh, also we have no downforce yet. That would be too scary. We actually need to fix that. I need to place some wings into the lips already. Okay, so just basic aerodynamic fixtures. Lip front, wing rear. And then we can check out our aerodynamics and how our top speeds is affected by it. On, recalculate. Oh wow, yeah. And that lowered things a lot because now we have no top speed anymore, I guess. Yes, correct. There's a lot of drag, but we can tune this. This has cut things down to 308. Maybe not too good. What if we just want to cancel out lift, like this? 314. Oh, the handling! Oh my god. That looks scary. It's better now. Okay. Yeah, I'm not all too convinced that this is a good setup. We're not scoring as high, but this should be less of a death machine on the track then, because we don't get massive amounts of lift. And the stats are looking decent enough. 4.4 seconds from 0 to 100. That is so difficult. Without traction control, you can't set your gearing low enough, and we only have 5 gears in 1985 as a maximum. So gearing is an issue, for sure. The car is rather lightweight, but we are pulling decent Gs. And maybe you can up it a little bit, not too much, but we can go with a +5 tire quality. Yeah, that straightens things out a little more. And more Gs, so that is all good. But now they become super expensive, I guess. Holy shit, we are paying 12,000 just for those fucking tires. Well, let's tone it down a bit more. 7,000. Okay. Yeah, that is like, yeah, set of race tires, yo. It's not cheap. But maybe there are other areas where we can gain some stats by putting some minor amounts of quality into it. Maybe a bit of suspension. Drivetrain for better handling, more grip, and just less energy losses. And if we go with advanced safety, they actually like that better. I can understand them. This is very scary. And maybe we also should put a bit more effort into our steering. I mean, sounds quite important for a car like this. Steering and ABS. Maybe we don't want it to freak out. So now we're at 209. I think that is as much as we can do. Maybe the engine needs a bit more love. And the exhaust might also be a source of goodness. Oh yes, it is. And it's not too expensive. No, it's fine. Dual exhaust, high flow, none, and straight through. Yeah, good power ratings. These they don't worry me too much because they are not too worried about reliability, as you can see. 0%, actually. A final look at the markets, as expected. Super, Hyper, now it's mainly a hypercar, but Super still keeps up because it's not that expensive. We haven't gone super overboard with things, so it is in the middle there somewhere. But now, time has come to design the car. Well, the wing is already on and the lip, but that is it. Oh, I need to double check my top speed now. It's a little higher. Maybe the gearing is slightly off. We do want to use more of our power up there. And that means that we can put first gear a little longer, like this. And yeah, above 210, 4.5 seconds, 0 to 100. And that should be a bit quicker in BeamNG, actually, because our test driver in automation doesn't handle the clutch very well. Okay, so here we go. Designing starts now. And we are done. Yes, indeed. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the King's Guard, as you can see here. Yes, the King's Guard Viscera. And it is a pretty good looker, I would say. It's always a little difficult to work with this body because it has such distinct shapes that basically everything you do looks the same. And it is very 80s. But also, yeah, not many fixtures actually fit to it. Maybe, yeah, no, I'm quite happy with it. It's a simple design. Yes, 2 fuel caps because the chassis came through, or the suspension rather, so I had to hide that. We just say that, yeah, that is for balancing. There are 2 separate fuel tanks in here, which have to be filled in equal amounts. And yes, this is the rear. The rear, it's rather pretty and simple and pretty. Yes. So a little bit of a fin there on top. I like that. So overall, I would say it's about a 6 out of 10 solid. Yeah, looking good. Oh yeah, 6 out of 10 is in the competition. It was good. A solid was a 5. So yeah, it's a good car, but better performance. And now we need to export it. The King's Guard Viscera with the V12 K85, V48 5L, because of course 5 liters and 48 valves. But one final look at the stats. 575 horsepower out of the 5 liter V12. And when we go to the test track, we have 316 kilometers an hour top speed. Decent-ish cornering, not massive amounts of downforce at all. We just neutralize it, and it's just shy of 1.5 tons because we don't have fancy materials whatsoever. But that means that the markets, that this one bleeds into the supercar market because everyone can afford it. So it's a cheap record breaker, but that of course is with 0 markup. Yes, the competition also uses 0 markup in this case, but yeah. That would have to be sold at something like 300% markup, maybe?
Oh yes, there we have it. Let's push the button.
But of course, we need to do 2 more things, and that would be A, have a listen to the engine, and we do that right now. Automatic testing. Ah, yes. Yes, that is awesome. And also, we need to send the car around the test track. Of course we do. Otherwise, we don't have a benchmark time. So here we go. Oh yeah, this is rough. Go on, accelerate! Oh wow, it almost reaches 180 before Brian's bend. Okay, halfway down the street already to 240 there. Oh, 260 and has to slow down, definitely lift off, but stays above 220 through the slingshot. This one will be fun to drive, scary. And across the line into, oh my god, this will be terrifying. 2:08.24. And here we are in BeamNG with the Kingsguard Visera. It is looking real pretty. Yeah, not too bad. Doesn't look like a sports car with the suspension setup, but that is the car body that is weird, and not so much our setup. But yes, so I've been already driving this quite a bit, and it is super difficult. There is so much power at the rear, even without the turbos. Yeah, I didn't put turbos on, of course, because that would be suicide squared instead of just suicide. And yeah, I do have oversteering problems on throttle, obviously, but otherwise the car handles really well. And high-speed stability is good, everything seems in order. So I'll do a few more practice laps and then get into time trial mode. And of course we have to race this one fully manual, and that is not always easy. And we're ready. Well, at least we're set up, not ready. You can never be ready for this car. It would very easily reach the 314, I believe it was. Or did we go with the 424? Yeah, 300 wouldn't be an issue. Not on this track, obviously, but before the slingshot, we're getting pretty fast compared to other cars we've been driving on here so far. This, by the way, is a re-export within the first patch of Automation Exporter that was coming out on the last Friday. So, yeah, this is with the tire changes and suspension changes and so on. This might just be the hardest car to drive yet, although the Lexington Cougar was definitely up there. Let's go. And out onto the main straight. Oh, hard. Oh, come on. Yes, turn. Oh, shit. Oh, braking here. I don't know how fast I can take. Whoa. Fuck. On the start line and go. Yes. Oh, that's a lot of wheel spin. And slow down for Ebert's S's. Easy through here. 80 something. Yes. Oh. Careful with the throttle. Short shift. Third. And there the curve opens up. Full throttle. Ryan's bend coming out. Around 150 is the target there. Yes. And then a lot of braking for Banhammer head. Oh. No, that was okay. Now full throttle. Second. Just rev it out. Caswell's carousel coming up. Hard braking, and it's a little slow through here, but that's better than too fast. And full throttle again. And now the straight. It builds speed so damn quick. 220, 230, 240, and now lift off and steer through a slingshot. Yeah, that's looking good. Full throttle again. And hard braking in a straight, and then slow. I know I'm still in fourth. I don't want to shift down here because I can't heel toe. So now third and full throttle. Woo! Did it! Braking here. Come on, hard brakes, and take it easy. Take it easy for here. Yep. And back on the throttle. Yeah, third is maybe not so optimal here. Now, okay, short shifted that though, because that would just spin us out. And Adam's apex hard braking. Okay, got turned around. Oh, throttle. Woo. That one went away. And full throttle again. Cossack corner coming up. Hard braking. And I'm not so sure how hard I can take this one. Just easy with the crest. Short burst of speed and around. Yeah, a little wide. But that's fine. And full throttle. And we are done in a 217. 217.2. Well, and there's a nice crash coming up in the background. Boom! Ouch! That was fast. That was really fast. Man, what a ride this thing is. It's so difficult to drive, at least for me. But it handles like a proper 1980s hypercar, even without the turbos. And what do we have today? Well, in automation, the automation Stig managed a 2 minutes 8 seconds 24, while in BeamNG I managed a 2 minutes 17.2. That leaves us with a driver score of 93.5. I achieved my goal to be in the 90s. It was a lot of preparation laps that usually ended very shortly, even a few on the starting line itself. Yes, not stalling it, but rather wheel spinning so much that I straight went into the barriers. So yeah, if you want to try this beast yourself and see if you can tame it a lot better than I did, it is for download in the description below. I hope you enjoyed, and see you guys next time.